Good morning, happy Tuesday. It is March 18th. So today, not much different than yesterday. We still have the moon in Scorpio. It's being ruled by the Pluto in Aquarius. So these collective destruction and we're in destruction mode. It's a collective destruction, quite honestly. The transformation that we're seeing, things just going sideways left and right. That is really influencing our emotional state. It's influencing our mental state, our subconscious state. Now remember, Pluto in Aquarius, yes, it's a collective planet. It affects the collective as a whole. But in Aquarius, it's also affecting your personal, social life, the world, and your immediate surroundings as well. And you might be seeing a lot of things kind of going south around you right now. And you could potentially be struggling with that on an emotional level. And that's okay. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, we still have the sun in Pisces. It is sitting right between the North Node and Neptune today. That intuition is high. It's really a great time to be creative. But also make sure that you're not kind of gaslighting yourself and talking yourself out of believing what you're seeing. This is a really observant kind of day. With the moon in Scorpio, any Scorpio placements in general are incredibly observant to begin with. But the moon in Scorpio, because it's in its fall there, it doesn't really like being there. It can kind of get a little obsessive, which adds to that observant nature. So whatever you're seeing today that maybe you don't like, that makes you uncomfortable, don't talk yourself out of believing it. The Mercury retrograde and the Venus retrograde are kind of adding to this intensity as well, because we are rethinking a lot of things. We're trying to figure out how we got here from there. We're trying to just review and process relationships, financial situations, old thought processes, your value systems, old conversations. All of these things are being brought up, and with it being ruled by Mars in Cancer, there's probably some emotional anger attached to that as well. And the moon will make a trine to Mars today, and that is a wide open door for an emotional outburst to come out today. So really keep that in mind, especially if it's something from the past, someone from your past pops up. Really watch out for that emotional outburst. That happens around 4:30-ish Mountain Time this afternoon, so it might be later after work, whatever. And then late tonight, if you're a night owl, the moon will also make a trine to Saturn in Pisces. This is, again, opening that door to that observation, seeing where other people are controlling you. They're using maybe religion or gaslighting or things of that nature to kind of keep you under their thumb type of energy. Again, be observant. Allow yourself to actually absorb what is what you're being shown. Don't take it on to the point of depression, but take note of it. Absolutely take note of it and do your best to kind of keep your anger under control. It's really about processing and trying to figure out where you can start fresh when we get to that point where everything is direct and we're in Aries season and we can really start moving forward. Also, keep in mind, Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, and it is in Gemini, so this is really adding to that gaslighting, look over here while I'm doing this over here kind of energy. And that moon in Scorpio it's seeing the things. It's seeing where people are doing that. It's seeing the intentional distraction or the intentional making things seem like they're not a big deal when you can see very clearly that they are. So just keep that in mind as you go throughout the day. If you start seeing some things that makes you look a little sideways at it, pay attention to that, okay? So let's go ahead and pull you some cards for the collective. What is the energy for the collective today? We have the moon. Things are hidden. Things are scary. Things are not clear. This is exposing the things that are in the dark. This is exposing that underhanded type of energy, that sneaky energy. But it's not going to be like right out in the open. It's more subconscious. It's more noticing the underhanded things that are happening, but maybe everybody else around you doesn't, type of thing, okay? What to focus on? Ooh. The Five of Wands. This is that gaslighting, right? These are those petty little arguments. These are you notice something's up, you say something, and somebody else immediately gets defensive, right? Focus on who's fighting back. If you're trying to speak up for yourself, if you are trying to say, hey, I don't like this, focus on who is turning that into a petty argument, who is turning that around on you. Really pay attention to that. That's really important to understand. If you are trying to speak up for yourself, lay down your boundaries or whatever, and the person you're talking to turns it into an argument instead of having a conversation, that is a really important thing to pay attention to today. What to avoid? What should the collective avoid today? The Empress. So don't get too comfortable. Don't avoid the hard things for the sake of comfort. This is actually kind of similar to what I kind of got this morning for myself in my personal reading, is don't bypass the hard part. This hard part here, don't bypass this just to feel comfortable, right? We are so bad about doing that. We're so bad about like just giving up on the argument and just saying, I don't want to deal with this right now, because you just don't want to be uncomfortable in the moment, right? And if you look how she's over here looking at the fight, right? This is like that energy of just appeasing others. It's almost giving me people-pleasing type of energy, where you just back down from the argument just because you don't want to deal with it. And you just want everything to be all happy because things have been so hard, right? We can't avoid that right now. We have to face the hard things right on. You don't necessarily have to get wrapped up in the argument. You don't even have to engage in the argument, but pay attention to who is trying to argue with you, okay? Bottom of the deck is the Four of Swords. There's like this underlying energy here. If you just want to find a place of peace, you want to find a place where you can rest your mind. And if playing Empress is what does it, then that's what we're going to be tempted to do. So really make sure that you are paying attention to the hard things and not bypassing them just for the sake of people pleasing or finding a space of comfort. That's I think one of my biggest irks of the love and light only, high vibes only type of stuff, is that bypassing for the sake of having high vibrational positive attitude. Not everything is positive all the time. You got to face those hard things, okay? So if the argument pops up, again, you don't have to be sucked into it, but pay attention to who is fighting back against your boundaries, your need to have a real conversation, you asking them questions about things that you're noticing. Really pay attention to that today, okay? Clarifiers on the moon. We have a Ten of Wands. Like you're working yourself so hard that you've been avoiding it. And the Magician. There it is. Yep. So this is that distraction. Look over here. Pay attention to all of this stuff that you have going on over here while I pull something out of thin air over here, while I'm doing something behind your back, while I am doing some sleight of hand energy, while you're so busy over here that you can't pay attention to it, right? This is the energy, that the moon, what's happening in the darkness, okay? It's like you start seeing that today. You start feeling it. Your intuition starts to go, wait a minute, something's not right here, okay? Clarifiers for the Five of Wands. We've got a Ten of Pentacles and an Ace of Swords. Okay. So, again, who's picking a fight, right? Who is it that is saying, pushing back against your boundaries? Who is it that is pushing back against the questions you're asking and turning it into a petty little argument, right? you're just looking for the comfort. You are looking for that stability, but you need to find the truth in it, right? Somebody may have been giving you like a false sense of stability. They've been wearing a mask about, how stable they are, how good they are, or whatever. And you're starting to see the truth in that when they start fighting back, right? I think we've all kind of known people like that, where they put on this facade of having it together all the time. And the second that you question them about anything, they'll double down on that facade in such a way that it's like gaslighting you, right? That's when you start to see that maybe they're not as stable as they proclaim to be. You start seeing that there's something up here they're covering for, right? And you'll see that in these fighting back type of energies, okay? So clarifiers on the Empress. Why are we avoiding the Empress? We have a Wheel of Fortune. You gotta let that wheel turn, huh? And one more, please. An 8 of Cups. Yeah, because you've got to let that wheel turn, and you've got to get to a place where you can walk away. If you're just hiding in a space of comfort to avoid the roughness, then you're not going to be able to heal from it and move on. You've got to face things head on in order to move on to the next stage, so that you can heal that and get to a better place where you can walk away and heal yourself, okay? We have 5 of Swords on the bottom. So this is that sneakiness, that underhanded. There's something very mischievous about the energy today. There's something very shady about the energy. So really pay attention to that. Again, if you try to call somebody out on something, or you even ask a simple question and they turn it around into an argument, that argument in and of itself is your answer, okay? You should be able to ask questions of the people that you interact with. You should be able to have a grown adult conversation and lay things on the table. And if they're not willing to do that, then they are hiding something. Maybe not intentionally. They may even be hiding it from themselves. But that argument in and of itself is the answer that you need.